Joining us this afternoon to our webinar, which is titled End Your Disaster Recovery Headaches with Storagecraft. My name is Jordan Dearlove. I'm the security specialist here at Grey Matter. We've been providing software solutions to our customers for about 30 years and have recently moved into cloud solutions, services and managing devices. We're closely working with Storagecraft at the moment. To understand the data security and recovery is obviously a massive focus in the industry at the minute in light of things like ransomware, GDPR and moving into the cloud. We're here as well as Storagecraft to help your organisation to be able to continually work and work efficiently no matter what happens, and obviously be more secure moving forward. If you've got any questions, there is a questions box on the chat feature. Please put them in there and we'll do our best to answer those at the end of the webinar. Or we shall follow up with a phone call or an email if we can't get to any of those questions in time. So without further ado, I'll pass you over to Kevin Rasdale, who's an engineer from Storagecraft, who's going to talk us through the solutions and a bit about how to end your disaster recovery headaches. So over to you, Kevin.
Yeah, thank you for that, Jordan. Okay. Okay, so basically, despite of our best efforts, it's not always possible to fully protect your IT system from threats. You know, if you find that your system has been compromised or potentially destroyed, then really the only action is to hit that big undo button. And by that, what we mean is really implement your disaster recovery plan. But that is on the assumption that you have one. Facts today are that 65% of small to medium businesses don't have a disaster recovery plan. So we want to know why. Typically the answers we get are that everybody knows that they need DR, but they don't have a budget for it this year. Or the belief that, you know, it won't happen to me. So to understand exactly how, well, insane that position is, we need to look at what we mean by a disaster. So the image that we're seeing now is one that's becoming more common. Natural disasters are accounting for 3% of disruptions to business today. But what's more likely to impact your business are what we're going to see here. So if we look at the chart, you can see here that hardware, software, and human error account for 84% of disasters. So it's not really so much as a question of if you have a disaster, what does it mean for your business? It's, you know, it's a question of when you have a disaster, what does it mean for your business? And a disaster can impact in two ways. Now, the first one is downtime. But I did say that this impact of disaster was twofold. In addition to the downtime costs, there was also the question of data loss. When your server blew up, as it were, did it take all your data with it? Now, in your own business, how much data can you afford to lose? Or how much data can you afford to recreate if it's even possible? And at what stage is that data loss so great that you cannot actually continue in business? 40% of businesses that have a major data loss close their door forever. In the small to medium business space, 1 in 5 companies have declared a disaster in the last 5 years, and only 1 in 3 of those businesses have been able to recover. Unfortunately, that does mean that without a correctly defined disaster recovery plan, that is a lot of businesses that are going to be closing their doors. But hopefully, you know, we don't want to just be the people spreading doom today, because all of the pain is completely avoidable by having a disaster recovery plan in place. So the question really is, where do you start? So the first thing we need to do as a company, or the first thing you need to do as an organization, is to agree what your goals actually are. It's very important that the exercise is done with all of the functional heads, not just within the people that look after the IT, but with every one of the business unit or business leaders, to make sure that everyone has the same expectation and all of the ideas have culminated. We found that IT managers that were surveyed by Harris Interactive estimate that it typically takes 30 hours for recovery. And this might come as a surprise for executives who put the estimate closer to 10 hours. So the two main goals that need to be agreed on are the recovery point objective, which is on the right of the point of disaster. This means quite simply, how soon after a disaster do we need to be back up and running for the different server areas or areas of the business. And the second thing to agree on is what a recovery point objective, there'd be a recovery time, on the right. Recovery point objective, which is on the left, asks how much data we can afford to lose or to reconstruct. And that'll indicate to you how often you need to be backing up. Now this could vary from one set of data, which could be critical data that needs to be backed up more often, to something, like file and print servers, which is much less critical and doesn't need to be backed up very often. Once, as a business, you've established these objectives, you can now look for a solution that will allow you to meet your RPO and RTO objectives. So, why Storagecraft? First of all, with Storagecraft, we're hoping to allow you to meet that recovery point objective with the speed of our backups. We're talking about file and folder backups, file and folder restores in minutes. We can actually allow you to recover an entire server with our virtual boot technology in a matter of minutes, with a full bare metal or virtual machine restore in under an hour. We want to reduce the risk. We use image-based backups, so this is a sector-based backup technology that deploys an agent, performs image-based backups, and we offer offsite replication as well. There is technical expertise for those of you who've worked in the field for a while. You may well have heard of a piece of technology called Partition Magic. Storagecraft is actually developed by the people that developed Partition Magic. So there is quite a bit of legacy expertise in this field. We have over 10,000 partners globally with in excess of 1 million endpoints being protected with ShadowProtect today. In terms of complexity, well, complexity generally means compromise. So we want to allow you to move it and move away from compromise with one single end-to-end solution. It's incredibly intuitive and easy to use and is massively scalable. And then in terms of costs to the business, with our ability to get the data back for you, not only can we massively reduce your downtime, but we can also reduce your data loss, because we can present to you a backup that could have been taken as little as 15 minutes ago, massively reducing the potential for loss. When we are able to do that, we're actually bringing into effect not just a backup piece of software or a backup strategy, but we're actually presenting for you a business continuity plan, because we'll take care of the backup, which will allow you to recover the small files and folders that may have been accidentally deleted by your users. But if you are in that unlucky 3% where natural disaster causes a complete data center loss, then we can also provide for you full business continuity. So we're just going to quickly go over the solution that we're going to be talking about today from Storagecraft, which is called ShadowProtect, and give you a bit of a look under the bonnet, as it were, as to what we're offering. So, true business continuity starts with fast, reliable, and comprehensive backup and disaster recovery planning. So Storagecraft has been in the business for over a decade and continually delivers some of the most reliable, comprehensive, best-in-class backup, disaster recovery, system migration, and data protection solutions available on the market today. So let's cover each of these in turn. So let's start with backup. By itself, a local backup lets you recover locally, ideally, whether it's a file or a folder or an entire machine. And using our virtual boot and Head Start Restore, Storagecraft makes this process extremely quick. If you're not sure what these are, we're going to explain a little bit of it in the demo, but equally we can arrange one-to-one demonstrations with you where we can actually demonstrate this product, as well as offering the potential to have full proof of concept or trials available for you to use. So a local backup's great, but only if it isn't destroyed in the local disaster. So since 2003, businesses of all sizes have relied on Storagecraft's ShadowProtect backup and disaster recovery solution to protect and recover their physical and virtual Windows systems. Now, Storagecraft has extended the product users have trusted for years to a new cross-platform solution with support for virtual and physical Windows and Linux systems. So ShadowProtect SPX is fast, reliable, and secure. It promotes and is able to support physical and virtual. It's now cross-platform. It also contains some of the industry's most comprehensive database and application awareness integration, which is critical in ensuring mission-critical application servers such as Exchange, SQL, SharePoint, and even Oracle maintain a clean, consistent, steady-state backup that will not present corruption or transaction log problems when it comes to recover them. And because the technology is based on sector-level imaging at the kernel level, it's able to protect and recover both data and the entire system, the operating system, applications, settings, files, folders, everything, all in the same incremental backup it takes with each regularly scheduled backup jobs. And backups can be scheduled, as I said earlier, to occur as often as every 15 minutes, with a variety of different backup options to choose from. As we add management, we add the ability to set retention policies, push installs of backup agents, create standard backup schedules, and more, all from a single console. So with the management, you can test your backups to verify the integrity, so you know with more certainty that you can recover. And you can be certain that backups are happening, regardless of whether you have 10 endpoints or 10,000. This bumps up your ability to recover so much more. Also, we've added automated testing of your backup, so as well as just having an integrity check that confirms that your backups have been taking place, we can also send you an email with the logon screen of that server that's been backed up, showing you that it is able to run from your backups. So Shadow Control and ImageManager are bringing a whole new level of remote centralized monitoring and management capabilities to ShadowProtect, or SPX as we call it, which is ShadowProtect cross-platform. So Shadow Control is fully web-based, which means you can access it from anywhere, anytime. And in addition to managing multiple systems, departments, or you can manage multiple clients from a single pane of glass. So within this interface, you can actually build drop-downs of organizations and then into each organization's multiple sites. So it makes it very simple to manage. It also now includes the ability to remotely discover and push installations of SPX and of ImageManager to unprotected Windows or Linux endpoints. So again, we remove that manual time-consuming process of performing an install onto every system that you want to back up. And with built-in policy-based administration capabilities, your administrators can now configure a consistent backup job and assign it across a massive group of SPX protected endpoints. So again, reducing the pain of that initial backup configuration. It also includes roll-up reports and dashboards for notifications and troubleshooting, as well as the ability to centrally manage ImageManager endpoints, which creates consistent retention policies throughout the organization. And as with most centralized management tools, that allows you to configure your own customized alerts and report notifications, which can be delivered straight to your smartphone. Replication. So replication is where Storagecraft's flexibility really shines. So now we've got the capability to move your backup images off-site to a co-location, your own data center, third party, or to Storagecraft's purpose-built recovery cloud. That means if something goes wrong with the local backups, you've got another set of backups from which you can recover. So that brings us nicely onto the Storagecraft cloud services. We would, for this replication, we would use ImageManager to replicate to that secondary site or that colo or indeed to our cloud. The two types of replication technology we have is shadow stream or intelligent FTP. IFTP obviously uses a single port for FTP transfers, as shadow stream has the capability to identify and get access to many more ports and is perfect for low bandwidth or high latency locations to allow them to equally to have as consistent replication as you would expect from a higher infrastructure or a better infrastructure location. So, Storagecraft Cloud Services built for recovery. So we mentioned it briefly, but just want to point out a couple of the distinctions between most data centers and ours. So Storagecraft's Cloud Services is designed specifically to recover anything as quickly as possible, regardless of the disaster. So you can actually restore from a single file all the way to an entire network in minutes. And you can do it from multiple clients, all without leaving your desk. So it's a web-based console, gives you file and folder recovery. We can actually allow you to virtualize entire machines in our network, or indeed an entire network, which can be enabled and turned on and running in the Storagecraft cloud. It isn't exclusively self-service, so you can spin up a VM at any time, and we have military-grade security. As you can see, we have certification, encryption, and we are working to a 4 nines uptime. Okay. Recovery. Recovery really is the strongest part because, as the saying goes, nobody ever got sacked for backing up. Not being able to recover, on the other hand, is a slightly different story. So for what we're looking at, as we say, for over a decade, we've been known for our ability to rapidly and reliably recover to and from a wide variety of scenarios. So at Storagecraft, we believe in being agnostic and not forcing any one environment on a customer when it comes to recovery. In times of an emergency, you really never know what resources will be available to you, which is why we want our partners and customers to be able to recover anywhere, anytime, anyhow, every single time. So we take a look at some of the recovery capabilities, from bare metal restore to hardware independent restore, support for Windows and Linux systems, running as physical or virtual systems, we don't really care. We want our customers to be able to recover to or from any scenario. So any way you can think of that migration from virtual physical, we can perform it. So some know Storagecraft as a physical backup and disaster recovery company, but it's much more than just physical. In fact, we've developed some of the most innovative and revolutionary virtualization technologies on the market today. And with support for VMware Hyper-V and VirtualBox environments, we're getting there. Because of the power of our sector-based imaging snapshot technology, we can recover both complete systems, which is OS application settings data, as well as individual files and folders, if that's all is needed. But we also provide powerful and easy to use granular recovery capabilities for Exchange, where mailboxes, folders, attachments, emails, contacts, calendar items, anything in the top of the information store can be recovered at the click of a button. And at that point, we're going to jump out of the presentation and actually have a look at what Storagecraft looks like. Excellent. Now, Well, let me just open this up. As you can see here, I've actually got a VMware Workstation environment running on my laptop. It's not a particularly large environment. I've got a domain controller running, my backup and disaster recovery server. I've got 3 file servers and an Exchange server that's running. Now, I've recently deployed our newest version of Shadow Control, which I'm going to see if it will let me in. Perfect. Okay. So, my backup and disaster recovery service server. In here, I have Shadow Control SPX running. Now, when you install SPX, we install the agent, but we also install this user interface that you see. Now, it's fairly simple. Within this, we get the ability to create new jobs, to build a destination. Now, the destination is the target, the disk target where we write the backup to. That can be a simple NAS box. You can also then write that to removable USB drives. It could be a SAN. It could be pretty much any type of disk. We really don't require much in the way of performance from that target, which is a very good thing for us, because it means that your backup and disaster recovery solution can be cost effective. When we perform backups, we build a chain of images. Now, the ideal model for backing up is to perform a continuous backup. I'll just show you what it looks like when you build a new job. So first, you would go in and give the job a name. So I'm going to call this KR test. I'm not actually going to save this because at the moment I have no interest in backing up my backup server. Create some notes. Compression. Our standard compression, we will achieve approximately 40%. On our best, we could be looking at about 50% compression on a standard operating system and file structure. Encryption, we always would recommend encryption, and in fact, if you do want to replicate your backups to our cloud, you have to have encryption enabled. And then we have some pre-built schemes, all volumes, operating system, data volumes are custom, where you can build your own schemes. What I'm going to do is I'm just going to select the C volume. Once you've selected what volume it is that you want to back up, you go in and specify a schedule. Now, the schedule can be continuous. It can be a mix of full and incrementals. It can be simply a full, or it can be a manual full, which it will perform the full backup of the volume at the time that you specify, and that's once only. Okay. At Storagecraft, we recommend that everybody should be looking to a continuous schedule. Now, that creates a single full backup, and then it performs incremental backups at the time specified. Now, if you're using continuous, you must use ImageManager, and I'll explain why in just a little second. However, the continuous methodology is recommended because it does, without a doubt, present the fastest recovery times for any system. Then we have advanced, where you can perform throttling, you can enable scripts. So if you've developed specific pre and post scripts, you can deploy these here. We've got the ability to do things like saving volume images concurrently. We can use rate caching. Rate caching would be enabled if you have particularly poor performance on the disk that you're writing from. And then you can actually go in and specify exactly what VSS writers you want to use. What you'll notice here is that at Storagecraft, we're one of very few backup vendors on the market who have our own certified VSS writer. Once all is then configured, you would simply hit save, and the job would then be saved. Now, once the job is saved, it would look something like this. There we are. So my backup job, I've got my C and my E volume every 30 minutes, Monday to Friday. Now, that's the name of the job that I built. So it made it an easy naming convention, which was simple for me. It's currently queued, it's continued. So what I will explain to you is why we said that you absolutely have to have ImageManager running if you're using a continuous backup. Now, ImageManager, like Shadow Control, is a free piece of software that is available with ShadowProtect. So ImageManager performs three very vital jobs. It performs the verification of the backups, and that can also now today include advanced verification. Verification of the backups, and also provides consolidation of your images, which is incredibly important because if you're backing up every 15 minutes, then, once you've been backing up for a couple of months, you're going to have literally thousands of images. If we do not consolidate those images, not remove them, but consolidate them to shorten the chain and manage the chain of backups, when you come to performing a recovery, it could take an insurmountable amount of time. And it could, in fact, push that recovery time objective beyond your expectations and beyond the business's capabilities of being able to recover. So consolidation is very important, and it also manages the retention policy. So verification will take place once a consolidation has occurred or when a backup is run. The first verification is quite simply that it will run a checksum and make sure that what has been backed up adds up to what it expects to back up. The second option is advanced verification, which you can enable. That is not on by default. Advanced verification will take place after a consolidation of an image has been built. So if you're backing up every 15 minutes, at the end of the day, we can consolidate all of those 15-minute images and build one single image, which is what that day's consolidated backups look like. We also then have the ability to consolidate daily images into weekly images and weekly images into monthly images, allowing you to be able to recover from 3 months ago with potentially less than 10 images, as opposed to, a 15-minute chain that goes back 3 months. Once the consolidation has taken place, either daily, weekly, or monthly, is something you would select and specify, we will then actually boot that image file into Oracle Virtual Boot all the way to the login screen, then screenshot it and email it to you. This means that for your end users, if you're providing this as a service, your end users can be backing up locally, potentially replicating to your own environment, and then from there you can be performing consolidation and emailing them back a logon screen to give them that extra comfort in the ability to recover from the replicated backups. ImageManager is also where you would perform any replication of data to the cloud, which brings me nicely into the cloud services. Now, this is the Storagecraft partner portal, so anyone who's a registered partner should have access to this. What I have is in here in my managed service provider dropdown is cloud services. There we go, Kevin Rasdale's cloud, and I have the file server that I have been replicating into the cloud. From this, I have actually the capability to launch a virtual machine. Just need to put in the password and then virtualize. Or put in the right password, case sensitive, and then virtualize it. And what you'll see, and this is on demand from our Cloud Premium service, is the capability to be able to actually virtualize and turn on that server. So it'll take a little minute. The other thing to make you aware of is that if you do have to invoke a full DR and spin up an entire network on our cloud portal, you have the capability to go in and set up VPN You can specify the subnet so that you can route to it, and then you can set up the firewall 1IP or IPsec or OpenVPN. What you can also do is build a virtual machine policy, which allows you to determine the order in which the machines will actually spin up in our cloud, and it will allow you to add dependencies. So, for example, you may have to spin up your domain controller first, and then add that as a dependency for your file server, which would then spin up secondary. This is a great tool which allows you to completely configure and build the actual spin-up process of invoking DR in our cloud. Have a look. It's not virtualized just yet, still working through it. You also have the capability in here to specify a secondary retention policy. So currently the retention policies have been set by the settings of the cloud account, but I can't override that. What I can do now as well is actually view the virtual machine, start it in Windows. And it'll take a little minute, but this now gives us the capability to actually turn this on. There is a preset and predefined amount of resource that is given to each machine. However, if there are specific servers and specific machines that require more, then we also have the capability of being able to, adjust that amount of resource that's given and have that conversation with each of our partners, and based upon the conversations they have with their end users. I'm not going to wait for this to load, and what I'll do is I'll go back into my environment. What I would suggest, unfortunately, as I say, because my shadow control is not working, there is actually we have a very active YouTube channel, which is Storagecraft Web, and we have videos of all of our product releases available on demand there. We also will be serving up this webinar. I'm not sure isn't on demand, but you have got that as a capability as well. Okay, what we're going to do is jump back into the presentation actually. Now that you've had a look at what it looks like, hopefully it gives you the understanding that it's a very simple and easy to use solution. So what we want to talk about now is what is new. So what makes us different, what makes us better than using someone else or doing nothing. Yeah, that's what we want to look at now. So we have recently released Storagecraft File Backup and Recovery with Backup Analyzer. With this, we're working on this premise that not all data is equal. So we acquired a company by the name of Gilware, a US-based company that only ever sold in the US, for their data analytics engine. It wasn't for their file-based backup, it was for their data analytics. However, this is an absolutely ideal tool can be for server file and folder, but it is absolutely brilliant for endpoint backup. It's a web-based interface that allows you centralized installation, deployment, configuration, monitoring, and reporting. And it does provide some significant advantages to protect and recover data from remote computers. So the key for this is the powerful Backup Analyzer for intelligent data analysis. It enables partners to choose the protection level for each type of data and the offering, and it gives really fast recovery of critical data, minimizing the RTO. It does allow you to then manage thousands of computers from that single policy based on our web interface. It's perfect for mobile workforce because it is now backing up without a local repository. We will back up from your endpoint devices directly into the Storagecraft cloud, which means you can get away from the worry of data being saved in the wrong locations. means that you have the ability to look at serverless networks, and we can also back up servers and workstations but ignore the static or archived info. So what we do within this piece of software is we build a rule set, or you build a rule set more accurately, or your end users do, which allows you to specify exactly what data you want to be backing up and what you don't want to. What happens is we run our data analysis, we perform an audit of the system, and then the data analytics will deliver for you a report of every single file and folder in the system and its location, but it will select for you what it feels is vital or critical data. There is a standard configuration which we have on our webpage where we do things like we don't back up the cache, we don't back up temporary files and so on. But to that you can add additional rules, like if you have a mobile workforce, you may choose not to back up their MP3s or not to back up their holiday photos. You can then specify overriding rules that say no matter what, I need to make sure that this specific file has backed up. We also have then added to that the ability to monitor specific items within an endpoint. So for example, if you have a critical file, maybe it's an audit file that should be getting updated and fully backed up every day, you can actually indicate through the portal that that file should be getting updated and backed up every single day, and you will receive very simple, easy to view reports to determine whether that is the case. The good news is that today, that file and folder backup with the audit only or the data analytics piece is actually available to be deployed completely free of charge. There is only a costing when the actual backup component is enabled. But that now means that you have the capabilities to deliver what our data analytics of file and folder backup can perform. And then simply the next step is just to be backing up once it's been able to identify and monitor the endpoint devices. So that was one recent addition. And then more recently, in fact, Friday of last week, we have released our Storagecraft Cloud Backup. So our first backup offering for Cloud Backup is for Office 365. Coming in January, we are going to be adding the ability to back up Google Apps, Salesforce.com, and Box.com. So data is being protected by state-of-the-art compression, encryption, and data deduplication. All backup and recovery controls are based on the web through that partner portal. They're menu-driven and they're intuitive. Our Office 365 backup will back up the entire Office 365 environment. Mailboxes, calendar entries, contacts, events, the SharePoint, and the OneDrive. Needed files or folders can be identified and delivered immediately. You can simply search for them. You can actually define the dateline, so this also gives you revision control capabilities for an environment that sits within the cloud, and much lower IT costs with no hardware overhead, no worries about updates. We simply will be backing it up into the Storagecraft cloud for you. Why is software as a service backup necessary? Well, human error is the #1 cause of data loss in software as a service applications. Quite interestingly, in the Microsoft Office 365 end user license agreement, they only guarantee 90% capability of restore, and it's only for 30 days. It's particularly difficult sometimes to access specific files or folders from the venues. What we're looking at is an easy and fast access info with the click of a button. You can recover any of the data that's needed, any of the data in the needed format to any user. So for example, if you had an end user who had suffered a bit of corporate espionage, somebody may have left the business and deleted a whole raft of mailboxes, you can simply go back into a point in time, recover the mailboxes that are required, and then pass those to the required users or to the legal team or whoever it is that's going to be dealing with it. It massively protects against user and system errors and gives you a fast and easy recovery of accidentally deleted files, and it's safe against ransomware. At the moment, we don't have a defined retention policy, you can determine the retention policy of your software as a service backup, meaning that you could use it specifically for revision control. I was asked the question, why would we not just use legal hold on mailboxes? Now, legal hold in Office 365, for a start, consumes a secondary license, but it also just stores the data in the same location. Now, I'm not going to say that Microsoft are suddenly going to suffer massive data outages. However, it wasn't that long ago that Amazon lost petabytes of data from S3, now without doubt the largest public cloud provider globally. So if it can happen to Amazon, it can happen to pretty much anyone. Now, this might all sound very good, but the question that may be on your minds is, who are Storagecraft? Who are they? So, Storagecraft was founded in 2003. We are a channel exclusive company. We have 8,000 plus value-added resellers and in excess of 10,000 MSPs, and we are growing. Our global offices are in Draper in Utah. We have an office in Europe in Cork, and I believe in Portugal. We've got some in Asia. We've got them in the Pacific Rim. The big change for us was that in January of this year, there was a huge investment by TA Associates, a venture capitalist. We then saw Matt Medeiros join as our chairman and CEO. You may know of Matt Medeiros, who was the CEO of SonicWall previously. Matt brought with him quite a few of his former colleagues. He brought with him Marvin Blau, who joined as Storagecraft VP for Worldwide Sales. Lee Shore joined as the VP for America Sales, and Roy Applebaum joined Storagecraft as the Director of North American Sales. Here in Europe, we saw Andy Zollo join, who is now the VP of EMEA Sales, and Olivia Donnell, who is the Director for Distributor and Channel Onboarding for EMEA. Storagecraft Cloud Services, now available in North America, Canada, Australia, and New Zealand. It is also available in Europe. So that's a slightly out of date slide. Apologies for that. So yeah, so as I say, Matt joined, Marvin and Lee joined. For those who haven't Googled the names, you'll see that they've got a long history of taking companies with great technology and endless potential and accelerating them into successful high-growth ventures. As I'd said, some of you may be familiar with SonicWall, which started off as a pretty small company. It was then later acquired by Dell for around about $1.1 billion in 2012. So the team that were responsible for that growth is the team that you see listed here, and the ones mentioned that are also supporting the business here in EMEA. That's our lovely office in Draper in Utah, for those of you who are interested. Good news for us is that we're starting to gain a little bit more traction with the investment this year. We're starting to, be taken on by some trusted brands worldwide. But probably our biggest point, or our proudest point, is the fact that we're starting to get noticed in the UK channel. We were a finalist in the CRN Awards recently. We had a team there. Unfortunately, we weren't able to take that one away. And in fact, we also won the VMware Gold Medal in 2016 for backup as well. So yeah, starting to see some notice in the channel in the UK, and also starting to get some industry awards there. And at this point, I'm just going to pass things back to Jordan.
Kevin, thank you very, very much for that. Guys, if there's anyone who has any questions, please do pop them in the chat box on the right-hand side now. Alternatively, we will be following up with an email with our contact details and some further information. Please feel free to send us in some questions or give us a call to have a further chat. As Kevin alluded to, we are keen to get you guys to have a look at the product in more depth, so we can offer one-to-one demos. So if that's something of interest, and it can be as many of you brought along as possible, or whoever needs to come along can come and have a watch and have a chat with one of the engineers, whether it be Kevin or one of his colleagues. There are free trials available. We can get technical contacts on the phone for conference calls as well, so please do bear all that in mind. Hope everyone found it useful. And as I said, we'll just leave a couple of minutes now in case any questions arise, and then we shall be ending the webinar.